But our big focus image on this special broadcast is this 32-second clip, which we're going to slow down for you so you can see it just a little better. What you've just seen in this clip is military combat captured on a drone camera. What you've seen shot down out of the sky is a Russian Mi-35 attack helicopter. This video, officially released by the Ukrainian MOD, depicts what they say is a Russian attack helicopter tracked, targeted, and then shot out of the sky using a Stinger missile. Watch as this missile streaks across the sky and then smashes right into that helicopter. Dramatic images, very rare to see such a clear sequence of combat. A Russian helicopter shot down by a NATO-supplied Stinger missile is the most dramatic image on day 10 of the Russia-Ukraine crisis. And it is only one among a series of images of the Ukrainians claiming to have fought back at Russian air power and Russian aircraft that have been sent into Ukraine. Images across your screen of that chopper shot down, of a Su-25 jet shot down in Chernihiv, of the pilot captured, that particular pilot with President Putin, the co-pilot's corpse after it was recovered from the helicopter, a second jet shot down, and that pilot also captured alive. A day full of drama in the air power war in Ukraine right now. And that's what we're going to get into on this special broadcast. Remember, many of the claims are just those. They've been a war of claims for the last 10 days. But today, on camera and officially declared and announced, are these images. Has Ukraine begun to sting the Russian Air Force is the big question. A big escalation in the Russia-Ukraine war, with Ukraine claiming to have shot down a Russian Mi-35 helicopter as captured in this video by a Stinger missile. The incident was caught on a drone camera. The Russian chopper is seen exploding into a ball of fire after being shot down. Just a 30-second clip. In another incident, Ukraine claims to have shot down a Russian jet, not one but two, in different parts of the country. Here's a full report on what you may have missed. Perhaps the most dramatic footage in 10 days of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Cameras from a drone capturing a low-flying Russian Mi-35 attack helicopter falling prey to a Ukrainian Stinger missile. The chopper, flying at low altitude to avoid radars, to avoid eyes, meets a devastating end. The Stinger missile, supplied by NATO with infrared homing systems, hitting the helicopter with deadly accuracy. Both Germany and the United States have been pumping in large numbers of Stinger missiles to the Ukrainian military over the last few weeks in order to challenge and shoot down Russian air power. The missile proving its worth in this video, the first of its kind released by the Ukrainian government. Reported to be on the outskirts of capital Kyiv, showing the heavily armed military helicopter of the Russian armed forces ending in a massive fireball and a plume of smoke. A rapid and fiery end to an attack helicopter crew that could well have been on an attack mission.
This Mi-35 helicopter, and when you look at these images, it's a young soldier who's actually running behind that helicopter, aims with his surface-to-air man-portable Stinger missile, fires and forgets, and it goes and hits the target. It goes and hits the attack helicopter, and the attack helicopter comes crashing down. This shows how a Stinger can easily bring down a low-flying fighter plane. It can bring down a helicopter.
As Russian troops advance into several parts of Ukraine and encircle cities, images of the Ukrainian residents have been flooding social media. This time, a Russian jet apparently being shot down in the northern city of Chernihiv. Captured on camera by local residents while they cheered as the jet was brought down. was later reported that the Russian pilot of the jet had been captured alive, while his co-pilot didn't survive. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky claims in a televised address Ukraine has captured, wounded and killed over 10,000 Russian soldiers since the start of the invasion.
Almost 10,000 Russian soldiers killed. 10,000. This is dreadful.
There's plenty of fighting. Strikes are basically an everyday occurrence all over Ukraine. Again, that's why Ukraine repeats its demand to close off the sky for the Russians. Russians are using those planes to hit civilian targets, pedestrian districts. Reality is this is battle that is raging all over Ukraine, and Russia are using their air power advantage to push at the civilians like in no time since the Second World War.
President Putin, meanwhile, has blamed the United Kingdom for triggering the military conflict. Can Ukraine successfully resist the overwhelming and intensifying scale of the invading force? With Gaurav Sawant and Rajesh Pawar in Kyiv, Bureau Report, India Today. And in case you're curious about that missile that brought down that helicopter in such a dramatic way, let me just quickly tell you a little bit more about what that missile is, because it's been playing a pretty important role in what's been happening in Ukraine so far. That missile is believed to be a Stinger missile. It's an American origin missile that's built in America, also built in Germany and Turkey. These particular missiles have been supplied by both the United States and Germany. The Stinger is a man-portable air defense system. It's lightweight and it's shoulder fired. Basically, soldiers carry it on their shoulders and then the missile pops out of a launcher tube. It can be very rapidly deployed because it's so small and light. It's highly mobile. It has a range. Advanced versions of it have ranges of up to 8 kilometers. It's basically a heat-seeking missile. So once it's fired, it seeks the heat of the engine of the aircraft, of the helicopter, and then brings it down. It can hit targets of up to 11,000 feet in height, even though, as you saw in this particular video, that helicopter was flying just a few hundred feet in the air. Highly effective, of course, against jets, helicopters, and drones. It's been supplied by NATO to the Ukrainians. Like I said, built in the United States, Turkey, as well as Germany, but it's Germany and the United States that have been supplying all of these missiles to Ukraine. Now I want to get in some experts to give us a sense of what these videos actually imply. I want to get you a sense of what this particular video, both of the helicopter being shot down as well as the Su-25 jet being shot down, actually means. Joining us live now is Air Marshal Anil Chopra. He's a veteran of the Indian Air Force and a former fighter pilot. He's also Director General of the Center for Air Power Studies. Samir Joshi is also an Indian Air Force veteran and a former fighter pilot. And Lieutenant General Syed Atta Hasnain, who is former GOC of the 15 Corps of the Indian Army. Welcome to all of you. Thank you very much for being with me. With the permission of the two senior officers and veterans, I'm going to go to Samir first because he has a tenuous connection. So I just want to take him on before he loses that line. He's with us from a remote part of the country. Samir, welcome. Good to see all of you. Privileged to be in your company on a day like this. Day 10 of the invasion. Samir, you had seen this video. You've tweeted about this video of this Stinger missile hitting that Mi-35. What does this image say to you? What's the message to you, Samir, in the larger context of what's happening and the use of such weapon systems in this battlefield?
Yeah, hi Shiv. Thanks for having me on the show. Now, this is one of the most dramatic images. In fact, this clip showcases exactly how warfare has transformed itself in the last 20 years. We were just waiting for it to happen, to take place. What you see here is a legacy platform, a legacy Mi-24 in this case. Mi-35 is the export version. And this platform, having been upgraded through many cycles, now actually being deployed by the VKS, that is the Russian Air Force, slap bang, to support all operations back in Ukraine. And also a defense against that it started way back when such helicopters, such platforms came back in the 70s, and infrared heat-seeking missiles were developed of the Red Eye class. Then finally, we saw the legendary Stinger and its use in Afghanistan. Now, what you see today is a similar man-portable air defense system. It can be a Stinger. It may even be the Polish-supplied Pioran.
Right.
But the principle is the same. It is a heat seeker. Why this image is dramatic? Two cases. What it depicts is the Russian Air Force is hard-pressed to support their troops, and they're doing their best. The Russian Air Force is flying sorties, which are just the way it's as per their playbook. Troops are very, very staunch defenders. What they have done, noticing coming from this video, I think it's somewhere in the southern area, somewhere near Crimea, maybe near Mariupol only.
In fact, it's north of Kyiv, Samir. Just to give you that information, someone has geolocated this. This is north of Kyiv.
I'm not very sure. I'm not sure. You can see the expanse of either Sea of Azov or the Black Sea behind. Just see the blue thing.
This is
can't be deniable.
Okay. We'll get that information going. But continue.
Anyway, but either way, because Mi-35s are being used in the northern front as well as in the southern front. So coming back, what you see here is that the Ukrainians, because they have lost the large air defense components like the S-300 and the other platforms, medium range platforms like Buk, to an extent, Russian sorties before. They have concentrated a lot of their man-portable air defense systems around some core targets which they want to defend.
Yeah.
And this is a classic ambush. I don't think it is worked out in an ambush way, but more towards, it is a tier which was right there in front of a defense which this Mi-24 is attacking.
Right.
You can see the missile is still in the boost phase. Look at the smoke coming out. It is close to this Mi-24. And it has not even gone to the coast phase. Why the explosion takes place is simply because, in my opinion, this missile has exploded and detonated some ordnance being carried by the Mi-24, which has exploded in an instant. And that is the way it has spiraled down. Otherwise, there is no way that the small warhead that a Stinger or a Pioran can carry can cause this kind of catastrophic failure. I mean, the Mi-24 is designed to survive as a helicopter. It's survived many times before. This is more of a mishap. I think one of the unique moments caught on camera. Unfortunate for the crew, lucky for the defenders.
Yes.
But what it indicates is that anybody who's taking for granted that attack gunships can roam around with impunity in the tactical battlefield area are simply seeing the wrong picture.
Truly a terrifying, sort of pronouncement on what this image actually means. Air Marshal Chopra, the Indian Air Force, very familiar with this helicopter type, as a matter of fact, because the Mi-35, the export version of this, is in service with the Indian Air Force. So you know all about this helicopter. What does this image say to you, sir, as Director General of the Center for Air Power Studies? This helicopter was flying particularly low. As Samir said, it's been hit pretty quickly while the missile is still in its boost phase. Classic ambush, he says. What do you think, sir?
Yeah, Shiv, I have watched this video again and again in slow motion since we saw it middle of the day today, and also the other fighter aircraft, the Su-25 that they had been shot. I must tell you, let me start from the video itself. If you notice, of course, the helicopter is flying low. The attack helicopters are expected to fly low. Attack helicopters have to be used extensively in this particular battle. They have to give support to the convoys that are moving. They have got ground targets that they have to hit. So the helicopter has to be used. But if you notice the video very carefully, there is no flares that he has released. You are in a tactical battle area. You see all these exercises that we do in the Air Force. You get to see a large number of flares being demonstrated. Now, a demonstration apart, it has a very important operational, value. That flare is meant for heat-seeking missiles. We have seen there has been a significant timeline for that missile to hit whatever, every second counts. So this helicopter has not used, the video is excellent because obviously it's been taken by UAV and you can see the flight path entirely. And Samir has explained you the flight path. But I hope, these helicopters, which are armed with flares, we have got the same helicopters with us.
Yes.
They should have, used the flares. I have a point to make about the general air dominance part of it.
Yes.
I understand that Ukraine is not like Bangladesh. There is got a large, significant air force, air dominance. So such a large area is not possible. But certainly in areas where there is, air activity going on, a good air force of the size of Russian Air Force should have tried to have at least carried out some kind of SIAD missions. The major batteries, the S-300s, the various other air defense systems, they should have neutralized. I hope they have neutralized. They should have jammed with cyber attacks the entire air defense network, because even for an IGLA, etc., they need some initial input of which side the aircraft are coming. So it appears that has not happened. Certainly, Germans and the Americans have given large number of Stingers, but they also had the IGLAs and other shoulder-fired missiles already with them in Ukraine. So these visuals must be very demoralizing. I feel sorry for the pilot. Also,
Yes,
we earlier lost a Russian, Su-27 display pilot who was very popular among all the test pilots around the world.
Yeah.
So these visual of, Su-25 is an attack aircraft with a large amount of weapons it can carry. So, that visual also indicates that there have been significant losses towards the Russians.
Yeah, there are in fact 3 claims of aircraft being shot down, including this helicopter and 2 separate Su-25, strike jets having been brought down, captured on camera. General Hasnain, the vulnerability of these assets flying this low. You're a veteran of the army. These helicopters do provide support to ground forces. So, given the vulnerability that has apparently been captured in this very, very dramatic video. It's only 32 seconds long. The actual, missile flying and hitting the helicopter is barely a few seconds. What does it say to you, sir, in the context of what's happening right now?
Shiv, thank you first of all for having me on your show. And this is a very interesting analysis that we are undertaking at the moment. I have watched this video clip very intensely. Firstly, let me remind your viewers, it was the SAM-7 in the 73 war, which played a great role. The Stinger in the Afghan war of the 80s, which also was used tremendously to shoot down a lot of helicopters as far as the Russians were concerned, the Soviets were concerned. Now, using the context of this clip, let me explain to you the battle for Kiev is about to begin.
Yeah, totally.
And we are hearing of the 64-kilometer long convoy of armored vehicles strung along the northern highway, which doesn't seem to be making contact. Obviously, Kiev is very well defended from an anti-tank angle. Ground anti-tank resources, lots and lots of Javelin missiles which are being used there. Obviously, to add to that, what the Russians would want to do is to bring in a tremendous amount of attack helicopters, right? The third dimension, it plays a major role in this kind of a thing. When the ground is flushed with anti-tank weapons, it is the attack helicopter which has the maneuver capability, flies nap of the earth. What it was doing just now in this particular clip was it was flying nap of the earth.
Yeah, very low.
It is a chance ambush which has happened, which very correctly all our Air Force friends are telling us is a chance ambush which has happened. But it tells you clearly that the Ukrainians have got their act together as far as the defense of Kiev is concerned. You see, on the outskirts of Kiev, there will be thousands of such missile, anti-tank missile detachments which will be there, tank hunting teams which will be there. It will not be easy for the armor to come and draw in and close in there.
Yeah.
That's where you will find a lot of helicopters coming in and being used. Now, the defense against the helicopter is this. And it's showing them very clearly, and this is clear good psychological warfare that this has been put out, because a lot of Russian pilots will be watching it, although it will not deter them, obviously, but it will create a tremendous amount of caution in the minds of those who are looking at the isolation and the investment of Kiev as a part of the overall anti-tank battle.
Very, very interesting. Samir, this video obviously, going all over the place, not just in Ukraine, but obviously it's being watched in Russia. Obviously, the Russian armed forces have had a look at this. They know what's happened. So because this is all over social media, how would this change? First of all, would this change? And if so, how would this change how they fly these missions going forward now? You know, obviously being hit is always a possibility in a battlefield, but would it change the way they do things?
Shiv, I think any aviator who sits down in such a cockpit, either a fighter cockpit or an attack helicopter cockpit, is always ready for such eventualities.
Yeah.
This is a very dramatic depiction of how things have happened. It can happen to anybody. I mean, there are so many similar setups across the world wars, across Korea, Vietnam, etc. So I don't think it is going to deter. It is definitely going to impose further caution and tell them that, you know, even where you are not expecting these kind of ambushes, certain air defense components, we need to be a little bit more careful. Because had he eventually been expecting some kind of air defense component in place, he would have been ejecting out those flares, as Air Marshal Chopra had expanded upon. Now, Russians, helicopters, in fact, all attack helicopters train very well to stick close to something called NOE, Nape of Earth Flying, simply because they are able to stay below this level of detection by the enemy, as well as, give the least amount of appearance warning to the opposition in terms of noise, as well as, physically seeing them. So the tactics are not going to be changed. And mind you, while this is a lucky shot, I'm also seeing a lot of videos where there are misses. Yeah. So I think out of every 5 missiles fired like this, you only get 1. And this is only the third Mi-24 that I'm seeing going down.
Yes.
Physically. Of course, this is the most dramatic of them all, unfortunate for the crew. But also kind of imposes the fact that the Russian Air Force still doesn't have things under control. But even if they had, things under control, you just cannot do away with the threat of the man-pads. That is the terminal defense any defender has. So even if you have silenced all the radar-guided surface-to-air missiles, medium-range surface-to-air missiles, the man-pad threat is always there. And it is eventually on your tactics, your sound philosophies, and how you use a combination of ground forces as well as these kind of attack gunships.
The threat,
to sanitize the area first and eliminate will determine how you will survive against this kind of threat.
Yeah, a sobering note to end this discussion on, very illuminating, that the threat of these shoulder-fired heat-seeking missiles is always going to be there. And remember, this comes 10 days after the Russian government had said that they had completely eliminated Ukrainian air defense. And on one single day, they've put out all of these images. Privilege, Samir, Air Marshal Chopra, General Hasnain, apologies that this discussion was so brief, but I wanted to get your wisdom on one of the most shared and dramatic images so far in the Ukrainian crisis. 7 images on a single day where Ukraine has sent out a message that it is in control and the Russian Air Force, Russian air assets, Russian air power do not have a walkover by any means in Ukraine. Leaving you with these 7 images. Pilots captured alive, pilots killed, aircraft shot down. Ukraine saying, we can sting our invaders.
Лідери із пулемета спригнули!